Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Conversations That Matter. This is our last episode in our three-part series where we're holding conversations to reflect, discuss, and explore our inclusion and diversity journey and how we can continue to thoughtfully progress toward building a more inclusive and diverse culture and workplace. I'm your host, Will Wagner. In our previous episodes, we've reflected upon our inclusion and diversity journey, how we're creating meaningful dialogue and shaping a culture of understanding. But beyond that, we know that we have an opportunity and responsibility to directly impact positive change in both our communities and our culture. And in this episode, we're here to discuss where we're headed as we look toward achieving greater equity, equality, awareness, and action. For this conversation, we're welcoming back TEKsystems Director of Inclusion and Diversity, Franklin Reed, and he's joined by TEKsystems Vice President of Human Resources, Faith Johnson, as well as TEKsystems Program Manager for Corporate Social Responsibility and Employee Experience, Alice Zients. Welcome, everybody. Great to have you here.
Hi, Will.
Thanks, Will.
Franklin, can you please kick us off with the introduction?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, it's wonderful to be here for our third conversation on Conversations That Matter podcast. As Will indicated, I'm the Director of Inclusion and Diversity for TEKsystems, and along with leading the development and execution of our strategy, I have the privilege of partnering with incredible leaders from across the organization, like Faith Johnson and Alice Zients, which you're going to hear from in a moment. They're going to introduce themselves, but I would be remiss not to express that much of our progress across our inclusion and diversity goals would not be possible without the direct and the passionate involvement of Faith, who's been an active champion, ally, accomplice, change agent. I mean, I could go on and on and on about the involvement that Faith has had in our inclusion and diversity strategy. She's also a member of our Executive Inclusion Board, and we wouldn't be where we are without her. I'm also sure that the pivotal role that Alice plays in our evolution and the evolution of that strategy is going to become extremely clear as we continue in talking about where we're headed.
Thanks, Franklin. Faith?
Sure. Well, Franklin already got me a little choked up there, I think. Thank you, Franklin. I think I would echo the same feelings about you and our partnership and friendship that we've developed over the last several years. So, Faith Johnson, I've been with the organization 23 years. 7 of those at the beginning of my career started with Allegis Group. I had the opportunity to move over to TEKsystems 16 years ago and have not looked back. Have had the chance to grow my role, grow our department, go from a small HR team to a large talent acquisition, global human resources, and corporate social responsibility team. Pretty excited to have the opportunity to talk about this topic today, as it's one of the topics that I'm most passionate about when it comes to my job. I also have the luxury of being able to introduce Alice, who has been with Tech a short time, but I would say her impact already would span a lifetime. So, Alice?
Thanks, Faith and Franklin, for the kind words. This is a good team we have. I've been with the Allegis Group Enterprise for 6 years, and like Faith mentioned, came over to TEKsystems at the beginning of 2019. My focus when I came over was to grow, scale, and engage employees around Per Scholas and Tech's new customized partnership, but I've been able to help do that with the entire corporate social responsibility strategy, and it's really been awesome to watch the program grow, but also our people be so involved and celebrate the wins together.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining us. It's great to have you here. In the past 2 episodes, we have learned a lot about the history of inclusion and diversity at TEKsystems and what our current state looks like. We've spent time talking about how TEKsystems is invested in inclusion and diversity when it comes to the IT workforce and how we feel empowered to improving access and equity in the technology industry. Franklin, can you share a little bit more about the evolution of this journey and how it's impacting the communities we live and work in?
Absolutely. So our inclusion and diversity strategy aligns along 3 pillars: our workforce, our workplace, and marketplace. As North America's largest full stack technology and talent services provider, we believe that the most effective way to meet the needs of our customers is to actually build a highly qualified yet diverse team. And that diverse talent, with its varied experiences, perspectives, and backgrounds, also have diverse causes and passions that are important to them. And so for us, there's this wonderful intersection that we found between inclusion and diversity and corporate social responsibility. And while the two aren't synonyms within the company, there is a tremendously strong connection between driving our I&D goals and supporting our CSR efforts.
Thanks, Franklin, for that. Faith, as the VP of Human Resources, your span of responsibility and influence is wide across the organization. With that being said, I know that this intersection of our I&D strategy and HR is special to you. Can you provide us with an overview of what this looks like?
Yeah, absolutely, Will. It is special. I think I'd look at it in two ways. Quickly, I would be remiss not to touch on the internal partnership between my team and Franklin's team and the entire employee experience team, and the opportunities that we have had historically and currently, maybe more than ever, to leverage each other to impact the company positively when it comes to I&D efforts. You may not think HR and I&D have a lot of overlap, but there's a ton of overlap with our talent acquisition team and our inclusion and diversity team. So just those partnerships, those friendships, those opportunities are endless for the company. So that in and of itself is super special. When it comes to CSR and corporate social responsibility, watching those programs grow and evolve over the years has been really awesome. We feel strongly about supporting the causes our employees have a passion for. And several years ago, with Jay's support, we had the opportunity to really expand what we were doing. And that included both the piece of our employees' passions as well as aligning with our core business purpose. So for us, the Tech Give Back program began with foundation matches for individuals and teams. Employees had personal passions, teams had activities and local charities and groups that they wanted to support. And that was a way for us to encourage our employees to participate with those organizations and get the company match. The biggest piece of that, I would say for us, that was a differentiator, though, was sweat equity. We didn't want to just cut a check. We wanted to know how our people were involved, why they were passionate about the cause, and what the impact that their efforts and our financial contribution were having. The program has evolved, though, to be very intentional in how we partner with organizations and how we've designed our strategy to deepen those relationships. I know Alice is going to talk a bit more about that, but just at a high level, we've had the opportunity to create effective and meaningful partnerships across our corporate social responsibility platform. Two great examples I would give would be Creating IT Futures and Pat Tillman Foundation, both where we have had alignment with internal strategic efforts, as well as the opportunity to have board members, both current and new, coming up to help get those organizations thinking critically about their missions and strategies and how we align. Lastly, I have to talk about Perscolis. Of course, the core part of our workforce development program within our CSR strategy. It's a way we've found to connect our core purpose as a business with the ability to pay it forward in the communities where we live and work. Our social and racial justice work is also just beginning, and we've recognized the need to take a more firm and intentional look at what we're doing as an organization to create a more equitable world for everyone. And we're going to talk about that a little later.
Absolutely. And I want to point out that I love the fact you talked about being intentional about leveraging each other. You know, it really truly does provide some serious strength and movement with these programs. And we are going to get a chance to talk about each one of those programs. First, though, I want to spend some time talking to Alice about our CSR program. Can you give us a little bit of a breakdown what that looks like right now?
Sure. I mean, our CSR program has grown a lot since it was focused solely on that foundation match, which we still have. Some of our larger partnerships include Perscolis, like Faith mentioned, and we will get more into that. Pat Tillman Foundation, Creating IT Futures. Pat Tillman Foundation focuses on creating opportunities for returning service members and their spouses by providing access to education. And then Creating IT Futures helps our younger generation, particularly young women, be excited about technology and a possible future as a technologist. We focus a lot of what we do within the CSR strategy on how we can create opportunities for those around us who may have not had access to things like education, training opportunities, or truly even realize the power of their own potential.
Yeah, it's incredible how it is impacting, folks from an external perspective, but I know as obviously an employee at TEKsystems, it's impacting me as well. And Faith mentioned, the sweat equity and then the involvement. I feel you feel all of us get more engaged and more involved. We appreciate that. So Alice, how do you see this playing a role in our future?
I mean, I think corporate social responsibility is a huge part of Tech's legacy, and we are positioning ourselves right now to continue to grow, build, and deepen our relationships with our current community partners and also looking ahead to what our future partners may look like as well. This program isn't only important for our communities, but it's a connection point for our employees as well. Our people are always asking for ways to support and participate in any way with anything that we have going on. And if I don't have an answer, they will self-organize because it's important to them. So our people are very passionate about giving back and being connected to their community. So I think this is something that we'll see for a long time.
That's great. And I can speak from personal experience that the work you all do with our tech partners to make life-changing and long-lasting impacts on the organizations and causes that we feel are kind of near and dear to us, it's been incredible. I've had the opportunity to work with you all as an organizer for a campaign for a cause, so it's appreciated. Faith, you mentioned our relationship with Perscolis. I want to go back to that for a little bit. And it's been great to hear all of the momentum we've had recently with that partnership. Can you share a little bit about their mission and our relationship?
Sure. Thanks for letting me do that. I could talk about them forever. But I'll just quick bit of history. In 2015, we started to learn of some of the opportunities with Perscolis. There was a natural alignment really between what we do every day and what their mission and vision is. And our local offices made that connection actually before we did as an organization. They came in and were partnering in several of Perscolis's locations to source their IT talent and put them to work. Making that connection and starting to see that partnership grow, even at first at the corporate level, we started to engage. Bethesda is an example where they opened a brick and mortar location there. We went in simply with some computer equipment that they needed. So partnering with Allegis Group IT, we're able to get them a bunch of computers and other technology equipment and take it down there. When we did that, we took some of the local office with them, and they made the immediate connection with the students that were actually there at the time and started with some mock interviews, which led to a couple placements. From there, Franklin got engaged, Jay and Matt Hannigan got engaged, and we started to find additional opportunities for us to look to make that partnership more intentional, larger, and to have the opportunity to expand. Just take you back for 1 minute, though, about Perscolis, for those who might not be familiar with their background. They are a national technology training nonprofit, and their aim is to train individuals in critical IT skill sets. They envision a future where individuals from any community can access well-paying tech careers and where talent is recognized and recruited from many diverse sources. We partner directly with Perscolis to expand in cities where they haven't been before. The partnership has taken us to 6 new cities in just under 2 years. We made the decision together to expand, choose those locations where we saw the greatest potential for impact as a partnership. And I think as we'll see and as we'll continue to talk about, it's been a huge success.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that backstory. It was great to hear more about Perscolis and what they're all about. And Faith, you mentioned a little earlier that the relationship started from the field. Can you walk us through how that came about?
Sure. Don't hold me to all my timelines exactly, but it started, as I said, organically with our people. They were engaging in unique ways to find talent. We've talked many times as a company about the unemployment rate and the low unemployment rate for IT talent and the gap in being able to find people for the opportunities that we have for our customers. A theme you've probably heard about our CSR strategy is being intentional. I've said it many times, and we found a way to turn this in a way to serve our communities. So 2015, we start to get involved in the engagement in the cities around the U.S. with Perscolis. At the corporate level, we begin to partner more with Perscolis, getting involved in some of their keystone events like Diverse by Design. In 2017, Franklin and I had the chance to go to New York City, the Bronx specifically, and learn more about Perscolis right at their headquarters, see the classrooms, see the students in play. And we came out of that and agreed to the Baltimore pilot. 2018, first Baltimore pilot kicks off. We graduated a class in November. That led to Franklin and I presenting a proposal to Jay and Matt Hannigan for an expansion model. Took them to the Bronx and had an opportunity in conjunction with a CEO action event to have them tour and speak with the Perscolis team. And in 2019, we made the commitment to begin our customized relationship with an announcement in Detroit at Diverse by Design. And at that point, it was full throttle forward, implementing in 3 cities plus Baltimore, Philadelphia, Boston, and Detroit in 2019. And we have continued to grow from there.
That's great to hear. It's also great to hear that this developed organically from the field. I think back to our first podcast, we talked a lot about the development of our ERGs, our employee resource groups at the field level, and how it was individual team members working with leadership to build those out. It just goes to show that TEKsystems team members have voices and that leadership is listening, and you're all looking for new ways to make those impacts. Alice, can you give us a little bit more information around the current footprint of our Perscolis partnership and any glimpse into the future?
Sure. Well, currently, like Faith mentioned, we have deep partnerships in 6 cities across the United States. So Baltimore, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, Detroit, and Philadelphia. Part of what that partnership includes is helping decide what cities we've gone to and then what cities we're going to expand to next, being involved in the design of any technical curriculums that we decide to execute, as well as what career readiness touchpoints are really going to set these learners apart in the market. Getting our people, and when I say our people, I mean our TEKsystems people, into the classroom to work one-on-one with each learner in the cohorts is a key piece to our success, while also taking time to meet with Perscolis local staff to make sure that each touch point is effective. Our people at every level are involved with Perscolis, from regional vice presidents and directors of business operations, all the way through our account managers and recruiters. They each participate with the program in a variety of ways, always keeping the learners top of mind and their future careers in IT at the forefront. In thinking about the future, we want to focus on ways to optimize what we're already doing to serve more people more effectively. There is so much opportunity to provide access to so many people. So thinking about how tech and Perscolis can do that together is a lot of what I'm thinking about right now.
That's great. The growth has been awesome. It's incredible to hear the number of cities that have been added, and obviously making some big impacts. I'm going to give you a chance, Alice, to brag a little bit about some of the successes out there. How's that sound?
I'm in. To date, we've helped train hundreds of people since we started the customized partnership. We graduated our inaugural cohorts in Charlotte and Chicago just last week, and we're set to graduate another 4 cohorts over the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's roughly 140 people entering the IT job market over the course of 4 weeks. So there is no doubt the demand for technical training is here. We typically place over half of the graduates in jobs with TEKsystems, supporting our customers, but a lot find jobs on their own as well. Also, we're set to launch 150 people across 6 of our partnership cities into training in the next few days for our winter cycle.
That's fantastic. That's a lot of work, a lot of effort, and that's a lot of opportunity for folks out there, which is just what we're all about, right? When you think about TEKsystems and our strategy. So I appreciate all the efforts you all are putting in. Making positive impacts in our communities and with our customers is big. So if a customer would like to engage with us in this program, what would some of those next steps be?
So if any of our customers are interested in hearing more about our partnership with Perscolis or even joining us in the classroom, they can reach out to their dedicated TEKsystems point of contact. And from there, we can work together to find the best option for engagement together.
Perfect. Thank you. Faith, I know from our conversations that this program and our work with them is something that means a lot to you. What's a highlight or a proud moment you've had around Perscolis?
There's a lot of them, Will, but I think I can narrow down a couple specifically and focus in on one. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and it's always been my home. In 2015, after the unjust death of Freddie Gray, Baltimore launched into riots and unrest, and some of that unrest continues today. Our city was in crisis, and the racial injustice and social and financial inequities were amplified on the national stage. We knew then, and we still know now, that we had to be a part of the change in our local community, and we needed to utilize our strengths as a company to do so. We launched our pilot program with Perscolis in Baltimore for a reason in the summer of 2018. It was super important for me that we brought that change to our city first. Baltimore is a place that is no stranger to the systematic struggles we've seen amplified during 2020. It made sense to launch in a place that had a lot of meaning to our company and to our people. But it also provided us a quick commute to see the successes and the failures of the program in real time and to really get a cool opportunity to interact with those graduates and those students on a personal level. The group graduated in November 2018, and 60% of them were working with us within 30 days. It's easily one of the most uplifting and impactful moments of my career. I'm also excited to say that the program continues in Baltimore today, and some of those students are actually still working with us today. New students are working with us, and we even have one of the graduates who's a supervisor team lead for global services on our help desk, which those alone just amplify the reason why Perscolis was so important and is so important to us.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. It can feel overwhelming. You know, moments like that can absolutely feel overwhelming, and it's inspiring to hear the actionable, concrete steps that you all took, and it means a lot to me to hear how much it means to you. So thanks for sharing that. You hit on something there that we've been faced with, and it is at the top of our minds: social justice. Franklin, in our last episode, we talked about our conversations that matter. What are some of those next steps coming out of those conversations?
Well, the next steps in our conversations that matter really will be a continuation and a commitment to pause, create brave and safe spaces to broach subjects that our teams really care about and want to discuss, topics that may be uncomfortable, but extremely important. So, Faith alluded to it, social, racial, and income inequities are definitely among some of those topics. I believe that corporate America can no longer just sit back and not engage in addressing these issues. I personally believe that corporate America should be leading, to be honest with you, and maybe that's a podcast topic for another day. We've had a very long-standing relationships with several historically Black colleges and universities and Hispanic serving institutions where we've recruited graduates into our company. We've recruited graduates into our networks and provided that talent for our customers. We've also sponsored the HBCU Deans Roundtable organization for years. And now we're adding partners that are on the front line of addressing racial and income inequities. And two of these organizations are the Thurgood Marshall College Fund and the Equal Justice Initiative. The Thurgood Marshall College Fund is really looking at innovative ways to engage top talent from the HBCUs through this partnership. We're going to work really closely with our talent acquisition team. They're going to partner with Thurgood Marshall College Fund, and we're going to identify ways in which we can come together, advance the education and careers of their students as well as their graduates. And then the Equal Justice Initiative. They're focused on exonerating wrongfully convicted men and women. We'll partner with EJI through our core talents. We'll also learn from EJI, which I think is extremely important. We want to utilize their resources to continue to educate our teams on the topic of social injustice, as well as enable them to leverage our resources to meet their mission and goals.
Yeah, I would just jump in there, Will, and follow up with what Franklin said. It's exciting to leverage our partnerships that we've created to use our strengths in working with these partners who are action-oriented to allow us to lean into change. We support each one, making sure we are making an impact on the communities around us. Upwards of 90% of what we do in our corporate social responsibility program is focused on communities that have historically been underserved and underrepresented. The ability to take this movement that we've started internally and expand it externally through these partnerships and others like Perscolis is real. We're excited about our new partnerships. We're excited about our ability in 2021 to engage our employee resource groups in more meaningful work. And we're also excited to announce that we will continue to expand our partnership with Perscolis in 2021 to 2 additional cities. All of this stemming from the focused work that we have been doing for the last several months around the racial and social injustice in our country.
You all make me proud to be a member of this team and the work that you're doing. And as individual team players, I'm wondering what we can all do to help drive this change.
I have a few ideas. First, educate. We need to educate ourselves through our partners. They have so many great resources and information. Franklin and his team have, over the last couple of months, created a page internally for us on our intranet where our internal employees can go and get more information. Obviously, our external audience can visit the websites, follow our social media. We can help through amplifying their messages through our own channels, by being informed and informing others. I think one of the most important things we can do, and I echo Franklin because he talks to us about this all the time internally in our organization, is we can be open to understanding differences and seeing where inequities exist. And I think we need to be courageous in all that we do and stand up when we see those inequities taking shape. Looking for solutions and paths forward so we can create a better community together has been the focus of our corporate social responsibility program for the last several years. And we are always excited to hear the ideas and learn what's going to be next through our employees so that we can continue to evolve that program.
Thanks, Faith. Education, listening, empathy, courage seem to be some themes out there. And when I think back to our first episode, it was looking at us as individuals. We were looking internally and knowing who we are. It was about finding our voices and finding a safe place in the organization to also be who we are. And then we talked about the conversations that matter and how we got to know more about the people we work with, giving us confidence and connections to speak openly about change. And as you all shared with us today, it's now our opportunity to lean on that knowledge and lean on those relationships and together amplify our voices to make the changes in our communities, the change that absolutely needs to happen. This has been enlightening, and the conversation today has been absolutely inspirational, hearing what you all have done and what you're continuing to do. I look forward to making these changes with all of you. Now, I know our listeners will want to hear from all of you in the future as well. So can you please share where they can follow you on social media? Alice?
Absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn at Alice Zients. And then also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Alice Noll, ALICENOLL.
Thank you. Faith?
Sure. Apparently, I was not so good at aligning all of my social media handles. So on LinkedIn, I'm Faith Johnson. And on Instagram, you can find me at FROTTMAN. And Twitter, it's at Faith, ROTTMANN.
You could keep them guessing out there, right? And Franklin.
So on LinkedIn, you can find me at Franklin Reed. And on Twitter, it's Franklin T. Reed.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time today. But more importantly, I do want to just say thank you for all the work you've put in. And it's easy to see the passion that you all have and obviously show up with every day to get this done. We appreciate all of you who joined us for this episode of Conversations That Matter. If you missed episode 1 or 2, please check them out on our website, TEKsystems.com. Thank you for your interest in learning about the inclusion and diversity journey here at TEKsystems.